para we as transmission know where to go. Hindi ho kami yung naghahabol po sa, kunwari, sa pataas, pababa, pa-left, pa-right. So that it would be also more viable and consistent also on the timeline. Because we have issues also, of course, on the right-of-ways when we pass through. And in any other businesses then po, Mr. Chairman, those are the issues. And issues on permits and everything. Although DOE has been helping us out also on our to-do list on permits. But as a whole, as an energy family, to put the price down, all the sectors has to talk together and put the 97% and the 3% has to work together and work on the price scheme on putting the price down. So, Mr. Chairman, it's a holistic plan. It's just not only as transmission.
But you will have to admit that you're part of that plan. I mean,
Yes,
if,
of course,
if you don't cooperate and
yes,
the
Mr. Chairman.
delays,
Yes.
as presented earlier,
Yes.
you're only 30% compliant.
Yes.
You have a 70% backlog,
Yes.
as they presented earlier. From 250, you've only done
75?
Yeah,
Yeah.
75. So you're like you have a backlog of around 70%.
Yeah. Can I? Yeah.
And
yes.
do you agree that this will cost an increase?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, we'd like to validate that number also, and we'd like to look the figures that was presented by Transco. Because as far as I'm concerned, there are a number of backlogs also on the approvals that we need. Remember, we're a regulated company, so we need also approvals on all those regulations also. Although, if it is a shortcomings of NGCP, I would admit it right now as the CEO here. But of course, I'd like to look at the numbers also and validate the numbers also. Mr. Chairman. Yeah, if
So
that's
you
okay.
confirm that indeed the delays could also bring the prices up?
I haven't worked on that. Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, may I be
Yes.
recognized?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
Mr.
Sagayo.
Paul Sagayo Jr.
Yes,
here
please.
From
Please,
NGCP. Thank
Sir
you.
Paul, yes.
Thank you. In the interest of fair play and due process, if I may, Mr. Chairman, this is the first time that we had been seeing all the presentation materials of Transco and IMAP. May we just be given 7 days from today to consult with our consultants, and we will submit the necessary comments. And also, Mr. Chairman, I would just want to, as our President mentioned, we are part of the energy family. And as Congressman Marcoleta mentioned, we are just 3% in the total energy bill. We want to assure this body that when we took over the transmission system, transmission charges had gone down. And before I end, I would like to inform this honorable body that Transco, PISAM, and NGCP entered into a concession agreement. Under 2.01 of the concession agreement, it is clearly provided that Transco has no regulatory powers over NGCP. Just a gentle reminder. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Paul Sagayo. The Honorable Dan Fernandez,
Mr. Chairman,
you have now the floor. You're the next.
Sakto.
interpolator.
I just wanted
The
to have
Honorable Dan
a...
Fernandez is recognized.
Sir, before we proceed with interpellation,
Yes.
maybe perhaps here I'd like to hear from the former president of Transco. Kasi po I understand the current Transco administration gave their point of view, but I'd also like to hear from more historical
The
institutional
Honorable Dan
members.
Fernandez,
With the indulgence of the
it's his turn, so he will have to ask that question.
Kay former Transco...
Are you yielding to the question?
Ask kay... sure.
Mr. Chair,
So,
the
the
question.
Honorable Matibag, Attorney Matibag, please respond. This is now the time of the Honorable Dan Fernandez. I'd like to remind everyone it's 5 minutes questions. Time of the question would be 5 minutes. You can go for a second round if needed, except the answer, ha? Hindi kasama answer din, ha? So 5 minutes po tayo. The Honorable Matibag.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
The
What are
Honorable
the rules of this committee in terms of there's a representative asking a question and using the time of another representative?
No, this is now, that's why I have to, I sought the permission of the Honorable Dan Fernandez. So it's now Dan Fernandez's time. So he agreed. That's also a question.
Representative
Yes.
Fernandez yielding.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Matibag.
Thank you,
Attorney
Mr.
Matibag, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first of all, salamat po sa inyong imbitasyon at paumanhin na pangatlong beses ako na-imbitahan. This is the first time that I attended this hearing, and I'm glad to be here. I'm here just a former president and now just a consumer at isa pong Pilipino. I was just listening to the report and to the statement of President Almeida and the good lawyer of NGCP. I've heard that report long time ago. That's the same things that they've been saying na magtulungan tayo, magayos tayo. But let me share my experience when I was the president for 5 years. Wala po kaming pagkakataon na nakapasok at na tingnan man lamang ang mga pasilidad ng NGCP na pag-aari ng Transco. Ngayon lamang po ako nakakita na kami yung may-ari ng bahay at gusto mong tingnan kung anong ginagawa sa bahay mo, hindi kayo pwedeng pumasok. I just like to remind everyone, pinag-uusapan natin dito, presyo, 3% ba, 10% ba, ganito yung binayaran. But more than that, this is something that should be a concern of everyone, and that is the national security and the national interest of our country. Alam ninyo, nag-uusap-usap tayo, West Philippine Sea, may nakita tayong mga barko ng China na malalaki. Ito po, hindi na ito kailangan pumasok pa sapagkat nandito sila sa sistema mismo natin ng ating power grid. Nanonood po ako ng hearing ninyo, pinanood ko yung replay. Sinaga ko talagang panoorin. And I was struck by the question of the good Congressman Ace Barbers, which was followed by Congresswoman Luistro about the system, the SCADA system, which was replaced by NGCP when they assume. Yung pong existing na mga ano dyan, na mga equipment is General Electric noon, tsaka ABB. Ngayon, pinalitan nila ng NARI. Hindi po kailangang itanong kung may pumasok na armado, terorista. Simple lang po ang tanong ko kay Engineer Clark. Ano ba yung NARI? Proprietary ba yan? Alam nyo ba yung source code? I will make an example para maintindihan po ng publiko. Cellphone. Lahat tayo may cellphone, di po ba? Hardware. This is Apple, iPhone. Anong software? iOS, di ba? Pag nakalimutan mo po, Mr. Chairman, yung password ng iyong cellphone, hindi ba pwede kang mag-message, forgot password, ipapaalala sa'yo? Ibig bang sabihin, yung SCADA ba na ginather, yung mga data ng ating power grid, hindi ba nakikita ng China? 3 control, walang single red button. There was already an incident na nagkaproblema ang power grid natin. It was resolved remotely. Twice already na nangyari. So ano ibig sabihin nito? Remotely pwedeng gawin. Hindi po totoo. Magaling si Engineer Clark, alam ko, na-research ko yung background niya yung sa mga yung mga performance doon. Pero ang tanong, do you know the source code? Proprietary yan eh. When we made the research, when we made the presentation doon sa Senado, lumabas that NARI is a state-owned company na used by a military. So nag-report kami niyan, December 2019. We were able to capture yung website nila. Yun yung pinipresent ni Congresswoman Luistro. Sabi ko, ito yung dokumentong binigay namin noon sa Senado. Nakita namin. Kiniklaim talaga nila na first overseas nila na paggamit ng equipment at ng SCADA ang Pilipinas. Nung ni-raise namin yung issue sa Senado, February, tingnan nyo ngayon sa website ng NARI kung nandun pa, wala na. But I have the screenshot already. So more than that. Now, yung question naman noon ni Congresswoman nung nanonood ako, Kimbo, the Honorable Congresswoman Kimbo, sinasabi natin 3%. Huwag natin pag-initan to. I yield to those position of the honorable members. But hindi po 3% lang pinag-uusapan natin dito. The presentation of IMAP was very clear. Nakita nyo yung diferensya because of the delay. But even before that, there was the study done by Butuan, the power